It was a warm and sunny afternoon when Maggie and her family went on a trip to the beach. Maggie loved everything about the ocean: the salty breeze, the sound of waves, and the feeling of the cool sand beneath her toes. But more than anything, she loved collecting seashells. As she walked along the shoreline, Maggie spotted something unusual. Half buried in the sand was a large, sparkling seashell. It shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow. Maggie's eyes widened in awe as she bent down to pick it up. The moment she touched the shell, something magical happened. The world around her started to spin, and before she knew it, she was standing in a completely different place. Maggie blinked and looked around. She was no longer on the beach, but in the middle of a beautiful, underwater world. Maggie gasped as she realized she could breathe underwater. She looked down and saw that her clothes had turned into a sleek, flowing outfit, perfect for swimming in the ocean. Fish of every color swam around her. Coral reefs stretched as far as she could see, and seaweed danced gently with the currents. It was the most beautiful place she had ever seen. As Maggie marveled at her surroundings, a small voice called out, "Hello there!" Maggie turned and saw a cheerful little seahorse swimming toward her. He was bright blue with a golden mane, and he wore a tiny shell necklace around his neck. "Welcome to the underwater kingdom," the seahorse said with a big smile. "My name's Finn. What's your name?" "I'm Maggie," she replied, still amazed at everything around her. "Where am I? How did I get here?" Finn giggled. "You found the magical seashell, didn't you? It brought you here. Only special visitors are chosen to see our world. Come on, I'll show you around." Excited to explore, Maggie followed Finn through the underwater kingdom. They passed schools of colorful fish, swam around towering coral structures, and even visited a coral castle with sparkling towers made of sea glass. Everything was magical, and Maggie couldn't believe she was really there. As they swam through the kingdom, Finn told Maggie about the sea creatures who lived there: the wise old turtles, the playful dolphins, and the gentle manatees. But then, Finn's cheerful expression turned serious. "Lately, something strange has been happening," Finn said in a low voice. "The ocean's currents have been acting weird, and parts of the kingdom are losing their magic. The water is getting murkier, and some creatures are worried that something is wrong." Maggie frowned. "That sounds terrible. What's causing it?" "We're not sure," Finn replied. "But the queen of the underwater kingdom thinks it has something to do with the coral heart. It's a magical gem that keeps our ocean world full of life and magic. But recently, the coral heart has gone." Maggie's heart raced. "The coral heart is missing? What can we do?" Finn nodded gravely. "That's why I brought you here. I think you can help us find the coral heart. It's hidden somewhere in the deep ocean, and we need someone brave like you to help us search." Maggie felt a surge of excitement and determination. She had never been on a real adventure before, but this was her chance to make a difference. "I'll help," she said confidently. "Let's find the coral heart and restore the magic." With Finn leading the way, Maggie swam deeper into the ocean, heading toward the darker parts of the underwater world. As they swam, the water became cooler, and the light from above faded. Strange shadows darted around them, but Maggie wasn't afraid. She knew she had to help save the underwater kingdom. After what felt like hours of swimming, they arrived at a dark, mysterious trench. The water here was still and eerie, and Maggie could sense that something powerful was hidden below. "This is where we last sensed the coral heart," Finn whispered. "But be careful. There are creatures here that don't want us to find it." Just as Finn said this, a giant shadow emerged from the depths. It was a large, menacing sea serpent with glowing red eyes and sharp fangs. The serpent hissed, blocking their path. "Who dares to enter my territory?" the serpent growled. "You will not take the coral heart." Maggie took a deep breath. "We need to return the coral heart to save the underwater kingdom," she said boldly. "Please let us pass." The serpent narrowed its eyes. "Why should I let you take it? The coral heart gives me power." Maggie thought quickly. She remembered something from one of her favorite adventure books. Sometimes the scariest creatures were just misunderstood. "Maybe you don't need the coral heart to be powerful," Maggie said kindly. "You're already strong, but if you help us return it, the ocean will thrive again and we'll all be safe." The serpent hesitated, its eyes softening. After a long pause, it sighed. "Perhaps you are right. I have grown tired of guarding it alone. Slowly, the serpent moved aside, revealing a glowing blue gem nestled in a bed of coral. It was the coral heart. Maggie carefully picked up the gem, feeling its warmth in her hands. "Thank you," she said to the serpent, who nodded and slithered back into the depths. With the coral heart in hand, Maggie and Finn raced back to the kingdom. As soon as they returned, Maggie placed the gem in the center of the coral castle. A brilliant light spread through the water, and instantly the ocean's magic was restored. The water sparkled, the fish danced, and the currents returned to their gentle flow. "You did it, Maggie!" Finn cheered. "The coral heart is back, and the magic is saved." Maggie beamed with pride. "I couldn't have done it without you, Finn." Just then, the magical seashell in Maggie's pocket began to glow. It was time for her to return home. "Goodbye, Finn," Maggie said, waving. "I'll never forget this adventure." With a swirl of light, Maggie found herself back on the beach, holding the sparkling seashell. She smiled, knowing that even though the adventure was over, the memories would last forever.